it was just incredible seeing so many people's hearts changed. And the church in Moldova was just over the moon. No one visits our country. No one knows about our country. We've been praying for decades that even like one missionary would happen to wander his way over here and help support us with like a 1-year challenge. And so to have a whole team of like 30 people, full-time ministry, they were just over the roof, just like so warm and inviting and grateful.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of RevivEE, and I'm here with Tom. So good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited for people to hear your story because, guys, I got to live with Tom for like 3-4 months last year, and it was just amazing. And this is, something I've been waiting for, to kind of have him come on here and share his story. And so I'm excited for you guys to hear more about him. So, Tom, maybe we can, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I forget if I'm 28 or 29 now. 28, almost 29. I am originally from like the Seattle area, so Pacific Northwest, Washington. I grew up in the suburbs out there. So Redmond is the city. That's where Microsoft and Nintendo for America are headquarters. So it's kind of a very like outdoorsy because it's Pacific Northwest, but also very techy because you've got, Microsoft, Nintendo, now Amazon. So it's kind of a split personality area. And I grew up there. I played a lot of sports in school, played a bunch of games, went to like a Christian private school, and basically was in Christian private school all the way through high school. And I always wanted to be a good person. Like I always knew that that's what I wanted. I wanted to try to be a good person. But like late high school, I started thinking like, I think everything I'm learning here, some of the Bible verses and stuff, like this is generally good, but I don't know if it's like the best way to live or if it's kind of outdated and, if people are really thinking for themselves. And so, I went to college in Seattle, went to Seattle University for 5 years. And the first couple years there, I was just getting basically more and more prideful, thinking like, okay, let me try to figure this out for myself and come up with my own way of living. And I don't have to invent the wheel, but I do want to like make sure that I'm figuring out how this works. And yeah, when you just try to follow your own logic, you make a bunch of stupid decisions. You're like, well, how is drinking really bad? And, does it actually affect things? What if I don't say anything stupid when I'm drunk? And so some guys there met me, Zach Overstreet, Austin Bolvez, Anthony Ballejos. They met me, reached out to me, and were starting to study the Bible with me. And I was like, all right, this is definitely a lot of good stuff, but I don't know if this book is smarter than me. I literally said that in the Bible studies, and the guys who were leading it with me tried not to laugh because they were
Wow.
like, this guy is crazy. Like, he thinks he's smarter than the Bible. So they just challenged me to try some of it for, a month. And I said, all right, fine, I can do that. And when I started actually putting Jesus's words into practice, I started realizing, okay, wait a minute, even the stuff in here that doesn't really make sense to me, it just works. Like my relationships are getting better, my life is getting better. Yeah, like everything relational. And it wouldn't always be, before I could float under the radar and just not make waves, but I would have to like bring up things in conversations with people. And after I did, it would like help us to heal and move forward and realize, okay, yeah, we're not actually having the best conversations, or we should be supporting each other better, or things like that. And then I joined Revive within like a year of finishing college. So I graduated into COVID in 2020, and I was helping out campus ministry part-time
Wow.
there when I joined.
Okay. So where were you when you graduated? You stayed in Washington?
Uh, yeah, I was in Seattle. So first 23 years of my life was within a 30-minute bubble, like a 30-minute drive. That was it.
Well, and during that time, what led you to wanting to come and revive?
So my friend Kurt McCune, who was in campus ministry in Seattle, we graduated the same year, and I was helping intern in the campus ministry in Seattle, but he went on Revive, like the very first year of Revive. Um, and so he gave me a call at some point, a few months before Revive launched. I don't remember when, but he called me up and was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you like about this Revive thing that we're doing out here. It's awesome. Like we're seeing God move and do such amazing things. It's so much more than any of us expected. Like I really think you should consider this, and I think you could be a great fit out here." And I said, "Well, I appreciate the call. That's great, but also who you're talking to. Like I have not an adventurous bone in my body." Like I was like, I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna move probably 5 minutes from my parents' house and just like plant there and stay there for the next 60, 70 years until I drop dead. Like, you know, no sense of adventure or like, oh, I want to go see like other parts of the world or things like that. Um, and so he said, well, yeah, think about it, pray about it, get advice. So I did that, and I started realizing more and more, and after like praying about it more, that it honestly it is crazy, but it's not like unbelievable. Like it's not impossible. It's like we actually could do that. There's no reason I
Hmm.
can't live somewhere else for 10 months and just share the good news with people and do that with a bunch of other people
Right.
from other places. Um, and one of the big things that kind of helped me make that decision was realizing like, okay, I'm coming out of college. I studied engineering. If I go into the workplace right now, I'm probably just going to go into some kind of engineering and do that for 30, maybe 40 years, whatever. But if I take a year and I spend that on a full-time mission team where we are just living out the mission every single second of the day, that's all we're doing. I can do that for 1 year and then still be an engineer for 29, 39 years. And it's going to have way more impact because I'm going to have all of that experience and training and just changed heart and vision for the whole 30 years. Um, and so, yeah, I just realized like that's got to be the best way to spend the next year of my life. And I took the
Wow.
leap, and it was 130% worth it. It was absolutely amazing.
Awesome, bro. And Tom, I feel like you're definitely one of the most calculated people that I know,
Yeah,
and it makes sense that that's how you would come to that decision. Like, hey, I can let me look at the cost benefit analysis of this decision,
right. Yeah, yeah.
and it's cool that even though you had this like sense of how you saw your life, like okay, comfort, even some challenge, but it's going to be local. That God kind
Mhm.
of flipped that on its head.
Yeah.
And so, where did you go for your first year of Revive?
Yeah. So, um, we ended up in Moldova, Chisinau, Moldova, small country, about 4 million people. And we originally were planning to just kind of boot camp there, like spend the first 2 weeks there, and do team building and, get familiar with each other and learn kind of the culture we're going to have on the team and get some training, like what we're doing and how to go about it. And it ended up being such a good spot. By the time that we stayed there for about a month, our visas were taking a little while to come through in the country that we were going to be in, and I think we had something like 100 Bible studies set up in like the month or something like that,
Wow.
and we were realizing like, wait a minute, this is like this was not really the plan. It was not our plan, but God really seems to be opening a door here. Like, let's see what this could turn into. Um, And so we were
Mm.
there. We ended up staying there the whole year, and it was just incredible seeing so many people's hearts changed. And the church in Moldova was just over the moon. Like they were like, no one visits our country, no one knows about our country. We've been praying for decades that even like one missionary would happen to wander his way over here and help support us with like a 1 year challenge or something. And so to have a whole team of like 30 people, full-time ministry, they were just over the roof, just like so warm and inviting and grateful, and it was really really cool. Just the body that was built between everyone that was there.
Right. And I can't lie. I didn't even know about Moldova until I heard it through Revive.
Yeah, I didn't
So
know about it.
for you to go there as your yeah, for you to go there as your first country, that must have been like, whoa.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was one of those situations where like you say something and in your head it doesn't seem crazy, and then you say the words out loud and you're like, oh wow. Like you're like, yeah, I moved to Moldova and I'm gonna live here for the next month and or the next year, and I don't speak the language and all that, and you're like, wow, this, it actually, it feels definitely like some level of crazy. You're like, yeah, day to day, like this is kind of wild, but not that crazy. Versus like when you say it, it's like, whoa, that's like, sounds a lot more crazy. Um,
Hmm.
so that was definitely something I learned, was like, I think sometimes the things that we say out loud that we think sound crazy actually don't have to be that crazy in reality.
I love that. I love that point. You know, sometimes it's like right now I'm in Budapest, and sometimes I'm walking around like, how did I get here? Like,
Right.
but God makes things that we think are unlikely. He kind of makes them. He can get our hearts to a point where it's like there's actually no other choice. Like this is the best choice.
Yeah.
So I love that. And how did you see God move in that first year in Moldova?
Yeah, I would say I think I just saw him move in so many people's hearts. One of the scriptures that really proved itself was Paul talking about like, yeah, people can plant the seed and they can water the seed, but God's the one who makes it grow. Like we can't make fruit happen. We can't make people change. We can't even just like make our own hearts change. Like we can plant and water our own hearts, and hopefully God will make it grow. And just so many times. I mean, it was um, all the people that we were studying with, all the seekers we were in Bible studies with, like just seeing the massive transformation in, it could be like a month or 2 months. Their whole way of thinking, their life goals, their priorities, like what they, people that had no eternal thinking. They were so focused on day to day, I've got my job, I just need to get my bills covered and this and that, and realizing like, wow, I actually have an eternal purpose. Like this is everything I'm doing. Like, yeah, I still, I'm going to work and I'm paying my bills and stuff, but like this is way more than just a, survival without meaning. This is like God's mission. It's huge. Um, and his family and all that. And then, so there was like visitors, but then the local church as well, seeing people's hearts totally transformed that are like, we haven't seen a baptism in years. It's been difficult. We've had people that have been leaving, and we've been trying to just like stay strong and stay encouraged. But like, what do we even do through this? And I think just a total revival of hope in the local fellowship, that when they start seeing like guys, new people come out that are not living like disciples, and they read the word and they see like, oh my gosh, this is different. I need to live this way, and they've transformed their lives, and it's just contagious. And on the team as well, I think it was like pretty much everyone on the team agreed at some point that it was like, I came out here to like try to help other people become disciples and to try to encourage the local fellowship and all that. And we call it revive because it's like we're going to revive, the fellowship in a local fellowship and light it on fire and just make it this big, powerful, growing thing. But I feel like I was revived. Like, no matter, we had
Mm,
people that were coming on the team that were like, yeah, it's, I haven't been sharing my faith much. It's been difficult. And there's people that were like in ministry, like sharing their faith consistently. And, people that like, I haven't been in a D group in a long time. And others that were like, I'm, leading multiple D groups because that's, my job or whatever. And pretty much everyone was like, man, like in some way, shape, or form, God has really been reviving my heart through this and just seeing like this is what the mission is. It's just this beautiful family that God grows, and we plant, we water,
wow,
but watching God grow was so cool.
that's incredible. Thank you for sharing, bro. I feel like it's so cool when you can come to an environment where there are people at different levels of their experience in the kingdom, or
Right.
even different ages in their spirituality. Everyone is learning from one another. Revive
Yeah,
really is like that.
totally.
And you did your first year of Revive, and how many years did you end up staying?
Yeah, I ended up doing 2 years, and then I took a year off and came back for the first third of another year. And so when I did that first year,
In
you
those
know,
first 2 years, were they in Moldova?
yes, yeah, first 2 years were in Moldova. Um, the next year, the team moved to Bucharest, and I took a year off, and then when the team went to Bulgaria, well, it went to Bulgaria, Moldova, and Bucharest, and I went on the team with Bulgaria for the first few months and helped to get them started through Christmas, which because that's where you and I spent our time together.
Yeah. And so tell me, after that first year, what made you do a second year? Then after that second year, what made you come back and go to Bulgaria?
Yeah, yeah, it's the first year I was thinking this is awesome, but I think I literally prayed like the dumbest prayer I've ever prayed. That was, okay, God, I'll go over there, but like take me back. Like don't have me stay over there. Which was, don't ever pray a prayer like that. It's not helpful for anything. Um, and so I went over there for a year, and within like the first few months, I was realizing like this is something really special, and I don't know if I would do a second year here, but like the, this is really this is really an opportunity that there's eternal impact happening here, and so much growth that it was like this is really compelling to potentially stay for another year. And so over the next few months, I was realizing kind of similar, okay, I said like take 1 year as a full-time missionary, and then, you know, obviously if I go into full-time ministry, this is great experience, but even if I were to go into, more traditional secular job, like an engineering job or something, I mean, it would still be 1 year as a missionary with fruit benefits over the next 30 years. And so I was like, well,
Hmm.
what's really the difference between 1 and 29 versus 2 and 28? Like that's still, you know, that's still plenty of time, and I get like double the experience, double the faith built, and just double the impact. Um, and yeah,
Great
it was
point.
awesome. Definitely, yeah. The second year was every bit as impactful and meaningful and life changing as the first one. And then so when I returned to America, I actually moved to Atlanta, and I was learning with some of the guys there. The North River Church has an excellent worship team, from tech to worship to the whole everything they do. They do a very good job. Um, And so I was going there and learning and training with them, like how to run sound well, how to set it up well, what all the different pieces and components are, and trying to learn, okay, if I move to a large church, like how can I help with that? But then also if I was in a smaller church that, you know, hadn't baptized a sound engineer, like, how do you set things up? What do you actually need? So I was getting good training there. And then I learned from a lot of the guys there. I would just, asked around, like, so how did you learn the skills you have and what's been most helpful for you? And pretty much all of them were like, I may have gotten some training here and there, but a lot of it is just doing it a lot. If it's guitar, just playing a lot and practicing a lot. If it's mixing on a soundboard, like
Mm.
just doing it a lot. Um, and I was kind of realizing, like, well, I could do that anywhere. Like, I may even be more focused if I have less things. I'm not um, managing an apartment and with rent and cutting the lawn and all that stuff in America. Like, if I'm
Right.
off on a mission team and the mission is all I'm doing, I may even be less distracted if I start practicing guitar or piano or whatever, and I can be doing both. And so when I rejoined the team and moved to Bulgaria, I mean, you and I being roommates, it was funny because you were like, yeah, I've actually been learning guitar for a while. Like, I can teach you some stuff. I was like, yeah, here we go. Perfect. So it was, it was just really cool seeing that, some of the things that I thought, like, oh, well, I do want to learn the audio video skills, like at a really good quality level. Um, that is stuff that you can kind of do anywhere. You may not always have access to, if your life's goal is like, I want to learn how to use $50,000 equipment, like, okay, maybe you're not going to do that anywhere in the world, but who cares? That's not really, it's more focused on just like the skills you learn, not what you're working with and working on. So, yeah.
Mm. And so you came to Bulgaria because you felt like you can still accomplish that goal that you had
Mhm.
um, in a small church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Awesome.
mean, it was great. We had a whole lot of stuff. A lot of the people on the team had a lot of skills they brought to the table, and the local church had a lot of people, a lot of skills. And I think it was cool. Like, obviously, we were, doing the same mission and reaching out and Bible studies and all that, but we were also able to help with the worship group. And I think that definitely leveled up and became like a really nice experience.
For sure. Thank you so much for what you did for Bulgaria. I know it's gone a long way.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And one final question is, what would you say to someone who's thinking of doing Revive? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would say talk to people who've gone before, and they can kind of help you see if it might be a good decision for you or not. Um, but if there's nothing really stopping you, like if you are able to physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally, you've got some stability that you can run with, and you work well with other people, like consider it a legitimate option. It's not really like a fairy tale, like, oh yeah, well, I read Harry Potter and in that world they go off and they do crazy things and stuff. It's like, no, this is totally doable. Like, you can get on a plane and go overseas and join a team of people and have a massive life-changing experience, not just for yourself, but for so many people. Um, and you will just see there's so many things that you can't really predict, like the scriptures say, like, you don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. Why are you talking
Right.
about what's going to happen a year from now? You don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so it's like, yeah, like, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to grow, but it's kind of like being a parent or being married, you're like, I kind of know what that means. Like, oh yeah, when I have a kid, I'm sure that changes things. But until you've done it, you don't really know what that means. But I can tell
Mm-hmm.
you, as someone who went overseas and was like, I'm never gonna do that. Like that was never a
Right, right.
thought of a possibility in my mind. I thought it was inspiring when other people did it, but I thought, no, not for me. It was really amazing and just totally life changing. And that's, it's like life transforming in a way that 30 years from now, I don't know where I'll be, but I know that that is going to have left an impact on just the way that I see everything in life for the rest of my life.
Great advice, bro. Yeah, I agree. I think you need to make it a possibility, right,
Yeah,
in your mind. And
exactly.
sometimes we have things that have held us back from making that a possibility. But with God, it's not only a possibility, but it's actually a commandment, like to go and make disciples of all nations.
Yeah.
So we should have it in our minds as something that we can do. And yeah, I appreciate you being on the podcast, Tom. Something I really appreciate about Tom is he really is a servant that serves in a way that people don't necessarily see it, and he's so comfortable with that. I do think he aims to serve in a way that is unseen, and it was great having him as a roommate. I learned a lot about him, a lot from him about how to lead, and about how to even just gauge where the team is in their energy. And so yeah, it was really great living with Tom for those few months in our incredible apartment. And something else I want to just even highlight is the way that you see training, right? The way that you see this opportunity to come out here, and you kind of have this accelerated full-time missionary schedule, so that then when you go back to what you were doing before, you can still use what you've learned. And I think that is something that so many people could benefit from. So thank you for highlighting that point too.
Yeah, it's definitely like everything that you learn from Revive. We joke on Revive, but it's not really a joke. It's like you never really leave Revive. Like you may not be actively on the team in another country, but like the things that you learn and the experiences, like that stays with you, and you take that back to your church and to your small group and to your D group and your family group and all that. And it's contagious. Um, Both in Atlanta and Cincinnati, where I've landed after being on Revives, like I can see so many ways that that experience, when I come back, and I land, there's an impact, and it's just really, really inspiring to see how much God uses His whole family of churches across the world to encourage each other.
Wow, great stuff. Well, thank you so much, Tom, for joining, and thank you
Thank
everyone
you,
for
bro.
listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to the Revival podcast. If you found this episode helpful, then please subscribe and leave a review. Share this episode with someone who you feel could benefit from this. We pray that God will bring a spiritual revival to you, to the church, and to all the nations.